Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimate Bhaktivedanta Narayana Iti Namine Prema Bhakti Rasanandam Kripa Sindhu Mamananam Pragyapayantam Vande Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayanam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So today we are actually going to finish the first verse of the fifth chapter of Brahma Samhita. There was so much to unpack regarding Krishna Tattva just from the commentary of Srila Jiva Goswami. To summarize, we have been talking about the Tattva of Sri Krishna. What is the reality of Sri Krishna? Sri Krishna is Purna Tattva. He is complete, and also so many complete avatars are also coming from him. But specifically, has now concluded describing the Gopal mantra. How Krishna is present as the object of Sakyaras, and then even more intense parental prem. And then the topmost prem is of the gopis, Gopi Jana Vallabha. So this was the conclusion finally of Srila Jiva Goswami's Tika. Now let us go into the commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he opens with a song. Prachura Siddhanta Ratna Sangrahe Vishesha Yatna Kori Brahma Sri Krishna Stovila E Grante Se Istava Manavera Subhai Bhava Panchama Adhyaya Niveshila Sri Gauranga Kripasandhu Kali Jivereka Bandhu Dakshinatya Brahmite Brahmite E Brahma Samhita Dhanna Korilena Uddharana Gauda Jive Uddhara Korite Nana Shastra Vichariya Taratika Vidrachiya Sri Jiva Goswami Mahodaya Sri Gauriya Bhakta Gane Mahakripa Purnamane Egrantar Pilasa Dashray Se Vyakya Anusare Arkichu Bhalivare Prabhu Mor Bipina Bihari Agya Dila Kinchane Das Harshita Mane Baliache Katadu Ichari Prakrita Prakrita Bhedi Shuddha Bhakti Sahajadi Bhakta Gana Korena Vichar Kritarta Hoi Bedasa Puri Be Manera Asha Shuddha Bhakti Hoi Be Prachar Bhakta Jana Prana Dhana Rupa Jiva Sanatana Tava Kripa Samudra Saman Tikara Ashaya Gudha Jate Bhuji Ami Mudha Se Shakti Karaha Vidhan Sri Jiva Vachana Chaya Pushpa Kali Shobhamaya Guru Krishna Prasputila Koriya Jatane Guru Krishna Pranamiya Shuddha Bhakta Koridiya Dhanya Hoy Chamane. So, all right. It was by Sri Krishna's mercy that the four-headed Brahmaji received the 18-syllable mantra through the medium of divine Saraswati, Daivavani. Then he performed worship by means of mantra japa for a prolonged period of time. So this is actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving a synopsis of pretty much the entire uh, fifth chapter of Brahma Samhita. As a result of this worship, he received the Kama Gayatri mantra through the sound of Krishna's flute and attained twice-born status. Then he offered prayers to Sri Krishna with invaluable jewel-like statements that embodied the essential conclusions of the Vedas. For the benefit of all living entities, these precious jewels have been collected together in the jewelry box of this scripture, Sri Brahma Samhita, whose fifth chapter is especially full of the most valuable jewels. Sri Sachinandana Gaura Hari, who is the ocean of compassion and the only friend of the living entities suffering in Kali Yuga, found this book while traveling in the holy places of southern India and carefully kept it with him. Then, after having many copies made, he gave it to his associates. Later, Sri Jiva Goswami wrote a beautiful comprehensive commentary on this book full of examples and conclusions from various scriptures and mercifully gave it to the devoted followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Considering Sri Brahma Samhita with Sri Jiva Goswami Pad's commentary to be extremely beneficial for the devotees, my Gurudev, Sri Bipani Bihari Goswami, ordered me to write a further explanation of the aforementioned commentary in readily accessible language. Taking his order on my head, I have included several additional points of consideration in my Tatparya purports. If the faithful devotees study this book with pure and simple hearts, keeping in mind the difference between the mundane prakrit and the transcendental aprakrit, then this servant will consider his life successful and Shuddha Bhakti will be propagated everywhere. So there's an important point here. There is a traditional method. So this is called the Sri Brahma Samhita Prakashani Vritti. It is that is the name of this commentary written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this Prakashani Vritti is the commentary, and then the Tatparya are the purports. So when we have read Srila Prabhupada's books, Guru Maharaj has written sometimes the translation is blended a bit with commentary, and the purports are Tatparya, but they are also giving commentaries and verbatim commentaries of the Acharyas. So it has all been given in one, but traditionally it is often separated so that we can see who is saying what. So, O Rupa Goswami, you are the life and soul of the devotees. O Sanatan Goswami, O Jiva Goswami, your mercy is like an unlimited and fathomless ocean. The significance of your commentary on this Brahma Samhita is also extremely profound. Therefore, have mercy on this foolish person. Kindly invest me with the power to comprehend this commentary and express its hidden meanings. The statements of Sri Jiva Goswami Pad are elegant like a row of tender flower buds. It is my internal desire to make those fragrant flower buds blossom so that after offering pranam to Sri Guru and Krishna, I may offer them into the lotus hands of the Shuddha Bhaktas. So this is a very good question. What's the difference between the purport or Tatparya and the commentary? So the commentary will say, okay, here is what is being said, and to give it in other words without adding anything. of the commentator's own perspective, but simply to break it down and sometimes to expand it. And there is also that is a commentary, and then there is also a tika. A tika is a very formal type of Sanskrit commentary that is written, and the tika of Srila Jiva Goswami is extremely dense. It is a little difficult to understand, and so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is also giving some expansion and explanation of what has been given in Srila Jiva Goswami's Tika, which is basically using Shastra, so much quotation from Shastra to expand the meaning of what is in the verse. And then a purport, the Tatparya, is to say, all right, now I'm going to explain and give more explanation of the meaning of what is here. Instead of simply expanding what the statement of the verse is, now I'm going to give insights into it, and that is the purport. So, if we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we get purports, and these purports are his own profound realizations. And here, the purport by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is giving the Tatparya. Tatparya means, what is it? What does it mean? What are the conclusions we get from this? So now in the commentary, we just have an expansion of the meaning. Here is the meaning. Let's break down the meaning and understand the meaning. Now in the purport, we'll say, okay, what are the implications of this? And this is according to the author who has written the commentary, who has written the purport. The purport is giving the realizations of the Acharya. So the purports are very much useful for our benefit. So, only Sri Krishna, who is endowed with his own eternal names, form, qualities, and pastimes, is the topmost transcendent reality. That is the opening statement of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Tatparya, or purport. And his eternal name, Krishna, indicates the supreme existence characterized by the attractive power of love. So this is a very, very profound statement. Krishna, meaning all attractive, specifically means that his attractive power is the attractive power of love. Krishna is attracted by the love of his devotees, and Krishna's pure devotees are attracted to Krishna out of love. It is not out of fear. It is not a bow down, mister, or you will suffer birth and death. It is out of love. And that is the purpose of practicing bhakti, is how to develop love. Sadhakanam ayam premna pradurbhave bhavet kramaha. What begins from Shraddha and continues through Anartanivritti, through Asakti, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, and finally Rati, it is the gradual development of Prem, which fructifies when the devotee achieves the shelter of the lotus feet of Radha Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. So Krishna's eternal form is the embodiment of concentrated eternal existence, cognizance, and bliss. Satchid Ananda Vigraha. He has a very enchanting dark complexion, and he holds a flute in his two hands. And although he is the supreme master, by the influence of his inconceivable potency, he appears in his original form in human proportions as a fresh youth, the best of dancers, in the simple dress of a cowherd boy playing upon a flute. So this has been described as the sweetness, the madhurya mayi lila. The human-like pastimes are very sweet. If Krishna had come and showed his four-armed form, and he sat upon a throne, and he achieved a huge universe-sized form, and he used amazing inconceivable powers to slay the demons, then we would say, yes, you are the Almighty Lord. But Krishna is showing his original form and his relationships with his very sweet devotees, and the sweetness of his playing on his flute, and the sweetness of his form, and the sweetness of his qualities, and how his devotees are completely enchanted. And Shukadev Goswami, who is none other than Shri Shuka, the parrot of Srimati Radhika, has come to this world to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of those devotees who want to understand the actual meaning of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The core meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam is given in the 5 chapters of Rasa Panchadhyayi. But to get to the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, we have to go through the first 9 cantos, and we have to read the other chapters of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and then we should conclude with 11th and 12th cantos. Because to penetrate the mystery of Rasa Leela, to understand the greatness of Gopi's love for Krishna, we have to cross over an ocean of misconceptions and completely give up all mental speculation and all attempts at increasing our comfort in this material world. So it is a great mystery, and it is something that confounds the materialists. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually gave the introduction to the Brahma Samhita that was published in 1936 by Gaudiya Mutt. And you may have heard these words. The materialistic deminar cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat who is ever inviting the fallen conditioned souls to associate with him through devotion or the eternal serving mood. So, from the perspective of our mundane intellect, we cannot comprehend Krishna. We cannot break down Krishna. We cannot understand Krishna one little piece at a time. Krishna is only reveals himself swayam eva spurati yadaha unto that devotee who approaches in service sevon mukhehi jivadao, beginning with the tongue, by chanting Krishna's glories, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, by singing kirtans, by speaking about Krishna Katha, and by hearing Harikatha, beginning with the tongue, because when the tongue is engaged, it also engages the mind, and then it also engages the memory. It engages our arms, legs, everything. Everything begins with the tongue, including our entanglement in this world. So Krishna has apparently contradictory qualities, and we have so much trouble trying to understand this, but we have to hear from our acharyas, to hear from Gurudev, to hear from Srila Jiva Goswami, to hear from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and with faith try to appreciate like we are drinking. It is like someone has said, hey, I've made a really nice drink. It's quite an amazing drink. And then someone tastes it and says, oh, wow, this is amazing. I want to drink more of this. And someone else says, no, I first want to understand how this drink is made. I won't taste it. I just want to understand how it's made. Why? Why not taste it? It is so amazing. It is so sweet. It has so many taste flavors. And when you taste this drink, you won't want to drink anything else ever. No. I only want to understand how it's made. I don't want to actually drink it. This is a very foolish person. This is the mental speculator. The Jnani is saying, I want to know the philosophy of Krishna. I don't need to taste Krishna's sweetness. I don't want to taste Krishna's name. But the devotee, and this example has been given, the Jnani is like the bee licking the outside of the honey bottle. The devotee is like the person who says, oh, I'm going to take the top off. I want to taste the honey. So Sri Krishna is Satchitananda Vigraha and his expansions are called Ishwar, Paramatma, or Vishnu, and they manifest the material universes, but they are simply partial expansions of Sri Krishna's original form. And so only Sri Krishna is the original supreme controller, Parameshwar. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Ishvara Parama means Parama Ishvara. Same thing. So his transcendental senses and his qualities are distinct from each other by his own inconceivable energy, but they are combined together in their appropriate places to make the most beautiful, unprecedented spiritual form. In other words, the form of Krishna is Krishna himself. We are not these bodies. Krishna is his form. Krishna is not different from his qualities, his gunas. Krishna is not different from his name. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Bhinnatvan Nama Namino. So Krishna's form is his self, and his self is his form. There is no difference between Sri Krishna's self and his form. The Sri Vigraha of Sri Krishna is the very form of the condensed principle of eternity, cognizance, and bliss, Satchidananda. So what is the meaning of this? The beautiful form of Krishna, and Krishna also appears in Shri Vigraha form. When we say Shri Vigraha, we are referring to the deity of Krishna. The deity is not made of wood, metal, or stone. The deity is Krishna himself. By Krishna's own inconceivable energy, he can appear to the devotees in the form of Shri Vigraha. And Shri Vigraha is full, the condensed form of Satchid Ananda. So we cannot break down and understand, oh, I just want to understand Krishna's toe. I just want to understand Krishna's ankle. No, you can see Krishna's toe, you can see Krishna's ankle, you can see Krishna's beautiful legs, you can see Krishna's graceful threefold bending form, you can see Krishna's lips, which are full of sweetness with the gopis want to taste. You can see Krishna playing his flute. You can see Krishna's beautiful smile and his raised eyebrows as he exchanges sidelong glances with his loving devotees. And we can think on these things because all of these qualities of Sri Krishna are combined together in his beautiful form. And we, with our eyes, our mundane eyes, which are covered by ignorance, are just not even really seeing. We are not actually experiencing full darshan. But when the premi bhakta, when the pure devotee is coming and seeing the deity of Krishna, they are seeing Krishna directly. They are not saying, oh, this is a representation of Krishna. No, no, no. They are seeing Krishna directly. So Krishna, his original form is the concentrated form of Satchidananda. And Brahman, which is formless, is diluted Satchidananda Tattva. It is the bodily effulgence of Sri Krishna. And Paramatma, who is in the shape about the size of a thumb, is situated in the hearts of all living beings, and he is a partial expansion. This is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yadadvaitam brahmopanishadetadapyasya tanubha. What is the undifferentiated Brahman described in the Upanishads is nothing more than his effulgence. Tadatmantaryami purusha itiso syamsha vibhavaha. And who is the indwelling Paramatma, who is present in the hearts of all living beings, is his part of his expansion. Shadaishvarayai purno paramamihitatvam Yadadvaitam brahmopanishaditadapyasya tanubha ya atmantaryami purusha iti sosyam shivabhavaha shadaishvaryai purno ya bhagavan sasvayamayam nachaitanya krishna jagati padatattvam bharamaya. This is Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has quoted from Shri Vidagdha Madhava describing the nature of Sri Krishna. So that is the concentrated form, Satchidananda Vigraha. Now he is giving also a condensed explanation of Satchidananda Vigraha. And Krishna's divine splendor, his beauty shines through his pastimes as Gopati, who is the owner of the cows, Gopapati, chief of the cowherds, Gopipati, beloved of the gopis, Gokulapati, the protector of Goloka, and Golokapati, the lord of Goloka. And there are all very specific meanings here. And that very Sri Krishna, who is also served by numerous Lakshmis or goddesses of fortune, is called Govinda. This is all giving actually a synopsis of the entire 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita. So Sri Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the Purusha, the dominant principle, and he is also the predominated principle, Prakriti. How is Krishna both Purusha and Prakriti? Shakti, Shaktimator, Abheda. There is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. So Sri Radha Krishna, they are one, but they have separated themselves only for the purpose of pastimes. This is also given in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The glance of Krishna's expansion, Karanodakshai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, inspires material nature who has come from the superior nature, from Krishna's Swarup Shakti. The reflection is come as Prakriti. And that glance gives the innumerable living entities, just as there are unlimited particles in the rays of the sun. So Brahma Samhita establishes the tattva of Sri Krishna, and therefore the utterance of his names in this first verse is the auspicious invocation of this book. And that is finally we have come to the end of the first verse of Brahma Samhita, which is describing Sri Krishna. Now we begin to describe the tattva of the dham. Sahasrapatra kamalam gokulakyam mahatpadam tatkarnikaram tadhama tadanantamsha sambhavam. Shri Gokula Dham is the superlative realm of Sri Krishna. It is eternally manifested by Shri Baladev, of whom Shri Anantadev is but a partial expansion. This eternal, transcendental abode of Gokul exists in the form of a divine lotus flower with thousands of petals. Sri Krishna's own residence is the pericarp, situated in the center of the whorl of the lotus. So the karnikar of the lotus, if you've seen a lotus flower, it has this thing that looks like an inverted cone, and the top is wider than the bottom. That is the pericarp, and that is the center. And this Krishna's own residence is the center of the lotus, or the pericarp. So now we have the Tika of Srila Jiva Goswami. Sri Krishna's qualifications as the supreme controller, the embodiment of bliss and the cause of all causes, have been described in the previous verse. Now in this verse, his own eternal residence is being described. The abode of Sri Krishna, Gokula Dham, is exquisitely manifest in the form of a lotus flower with thousands of petals. So what is the speciality of this place? Just as Krishna is Satchidananda, his abode is also Satchidananda. Just as Sri Krishna is all-pervading, vast, and all-illuminating, so Krishna's abode has similar qualities. This is called the supermost world, and it is also sometimes referred to as Mahavaikuntha. Sometimes it is described that the Vaikuntha planet, Vaikuntha also means the spiritual sky, Paravyoma. But we think of Vaikuntha as that place where Vaikuntapati Narayan resides. It is the place of Aishwarya. It is that place which is described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam when the four Kumaras were coming to Vaikuntha. There is a very detailed description of Vaikuntha in Srimad Bhagavatam. All of the residences are constructed of touchstone, Chintamani, and everyone is beautiful and has eternal spiritual forms. And the center of Vaikuntha is the Lord Narayan. And there are also so many Vaikuntha planets, and each one is ruled by a different expansion or avatar of Lord Narayan. So there is a planet ruled by Vamana, a planet ruled by Varaha, a place ruled by Madhusudan, a place ruled by the Vishnu expansion known as Madhava, Govinda, Keshava, etc. But amongst all of the Vaikuntha planets, the greatest of all the Vaikuntha planets is called Goloka. And Goloka is the abode of Sri Krishna. But there are millions of different chambers in Goloka. Now, when Sri Jiva Goswami, so Golok is, and we are going to just talk more in this purport about the meaning of Golok and Gokul. And so, Srila Jiva Goswami continues, so that no one will have any doubts, it is said that the name of this abode is Gokul, that place which is inhabited by Gopas and Gopis. So, Sri Krishna is called Gokuleshwara, Gokulapati. And this also has been described in the second verse of Sri Brahma Samhita. And that internal realm where Sri Krishna resides with his associates, such as Nanda Baba and Yashodamaya, has been called Gokula Dham. So the abode where Krishna resides, along with all the inhabitants of Braja, is also described here. So just to understand the nature of that abode, it is said, Tadanantamsha Sambhavam. It is said to be manifested by Sri Anantadev, a partial expansion of Sri Balaram. It is said that Sambhava may indicate Avirbhava Vishesha, the special appearance of the divine abode, in the sense that it is eternally manifested by a personal expansion of Sri Baladev. So this means that it is referring to Ananta. One can also understand it meaning whose partial expansion is Ananta, namely Sri Baladev himself has manifested the abode of Gokul. Now the Tatparya of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving some more explanation of this. So Goloka Dham or Gokula is not any kind of created material place, but it is eternally manifest. Okay, we understand this. But that divine abode is called Anantamsha Sambhavam to indicate it is manifest from the Saishi Shakti, the Shesha's, Bhagavan Shesha's potency of Sri Krishna, who is unlimited in nature. This abode is manifested by Baladev Prabhu, whose partial expansion is Anantadev or Shesha Bhagavan. Sri Krishna's pastime expansion, Sri Baladev, is the reservoir or shelter of this Saishi Shakti. In other words, this Saishi Shakti that has created the Dham, this takes shelter in Sri Baladev. So Shakti, Shakti Mator. There is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman, but Shakti always has the ashraya of Shaktiman. So, but they are at the same time the same and at the same time different, because Shakti can act independently. But Shakti must always have a shelter. Jivas We are also part of Shakti, but we are tiny and we must be in shelter. And if we are not in shelter of Daivi Shakti, we will be in shelter of Maya Shakti. So, Sri Baladev's unlimited nature is described in two ways. First, there is spiritual infinity manifest as unlimited transcendental abodes, and secondly, mundane infinity manifest as unlimited inert material worlds. In other words, there are two ways in which the nature of Baladev Prabhu is manifest. So there is unlimited varieties of transcendental abodes in the spiritual world, unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and Goloka itself, which is also unlimited. In Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is said that the dimensions of Golok are something like, it is so big, so many billions of yojanas. It is like the size of more than the size of the universe. Actually, this universe is very, very tiny. This universe is 4 billion miles across, and it is like a tiny mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds, and one of the smaller, more insignificant universes. And Goloka is much more, so much more, thousands and millions of times bigger. And also, the opulence of Baladev Prabhu is manifest through all of the various mundane universes. So the infinite spiritual manifestation is called Tripad Vibhuti, the three-fourths manifestation. This whole material world, of which this vast universe is one tiny part, is one-fourth. It is called Ekapad Vibhuti. Okay? So the manifestation of transcendental magnificence, which is fully illuminated. There is no darkness. There is no ignorance. So here, if there is no light, then we are in darkness, right? There can be no darkness. Now, this is another reason why the idea that the jiva can fall from Vaikuntha, and I'm sorry, we keep coming back to this because some people actually believe this. They believe that the jiva can be in the spiritual world and can have the illusory idea that, oh, maybe I could be the enjoyer instead of Krishna. Because the concept of being separate from Krishna is entirely a product of ignorance. If there is no place for ignorance, if there is no place for darkness in the fully illuminated, fully cognizant spiritual world, how can the living entity enter into ignorance in the spiritual world? It is not possible unless something happens where Krishna, Bhagavan, wants to have a Leela, and he wants to come to the material world to fight with one of his dear associates because there's no one qualified to be a proper opponent. His Yogamaya arranges for some sages like the Kumaras to come and curse some associates because it was the desire of Bhagavan so that he could go. Now then some speculators say, oh, well, maybe it was Krishna's desire that we came as conditioned souls to this world so that we could be rescued. No, this happened when Jay and Vijay came as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravan and Kumbhakarna, Shishupal Dantavakra. And then they got to have the encore Kripa performance of being Jagai Madhai and getting delivered by the grace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. So, there can be nothing, no darkness in the spiritual world. Everything is illuminated. Everything is self-effulgent. And this is called Paravyom. So this Mahavaikuntha is completely beyond the purview of the inert material nature, and it exists splendidly and forever in the midst of the transcendental effulgence on the other side of Viraja. Viraja is the dividing point between the material and spiritual world. Another misconception sometimes that gets propagated, and it is a misrepresentation of some great what acharyas have said, and it is actually offensive to acharyas, is to say, oh, we don't accept that Jiva has come from Brahmajyoti. No one has said Jiva has come from Brahmajyoti. Jiva has come from Viraja, has come from Tatastha region, dividing point where one can see go towards the side of spiritual world or go towards material world. So there are two features. There is the upper and lower. The higher feature, and we are still talking about the Mahavaikuntha, which is called Gokula or Golok. The higher feature is the realm of human-like sweetness, Madhurya, and the lower is the realm of extraordinary opulence, or Maha Aishwarya. The manifestation that is characterized by sweetness is called Golokadham or Gokuladham, and this divine abode, which is subdivided into various subsections according to specific ras, is exceedingly elegant and charming, and sometimes it is called Mahanarayan Dham or Mulanarayan Dham. So the Gokul aspect of Golok is the most excellent abode of all. So this is a very important thing to understand, that there are unlimited prakoshtas or chambers within Golok. And so the Golok in the spiritual realm is full of opulence, but within Golok there is an inner section called Gokul, which is predominated by sweetness. So this is an important thing to understand. Okay, so there's the outer part of Golok where there is Aishwarya, but Krishna is present in a two-handed form. And there is also Dwarka and Mathura, where Krishna exhibits some Aishwarya or opulence, but he is in a two-armed form. Very beautiful Sri Krishna, but showing opulence. Now, Srila Gurudev has explained in this verse, Aho Bakiyam Stanakalakutam, where Sri Shukadev Goswami has expressed his astonishment. How amazing is it that this witch, Putana, who was very evil, who enjoyed drinking the blood of babies and small children, she got such a gati like that of Krishna's nurse. And Gurudev has explained, no, she didn't get to become the nurse, but she went to Goloka, not Goloka Vrindavan, not the Gokul inner part, but the outer part where there is Aishwarya, and she could have been like a neighbor of Mother Yashoda. But still, what kind of destination is that for someone who wanted to kill? Because she had a relationship in her previous life. She was the sister of Bali Maharaj, who was the grandson of Mahabhagavat Sri Prahlad Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj, who was himself a Mahajan, a great devotee of Bhagavan. So that is another thing altogether. But there is the outer part of Golok and then the inner part. And when Sri Krishna has come taking the Kanti and Bhav of Sri Radha, he has come specifically to give Unnata Ujjvala Ras, that which is only found in the inner part of Golok Vrindavan, in Gokul. So there is a verse quoted by from Srila Sanatan Goswami Pad. Yata kridati tat bhuma goloke pitatayavasa ada urdhataya bhedo nayo kalpate kevalam. Just as Krishna performs his playful pastimes in Gokul in the material universe, similarly he also performs the same pastimes in the Goloka of the upper region. Therefore, there is no difference between Goloka and Gokul. So one should understand whatever is situated in Goloka Dham in the spiritual realm is also present in Gokul, Sri Krishna's place of pastimes within the material universe. So this sometimes becomes a little confusing and difficult to understand because we use the word Gokul to refer to that part of Goloka Vrindavan which has become manifested on the material plane. It is non-different from the inner part of Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. And it is here that Krishna is exhibiting his very sweet human-like pastimes. It is the confidential inner part of Goloka that has become manifested as Gokul. So we sometimes use Goloka to refer to the Goloka planet within the Vaikuntha, and we sometimes use Goloka to refer to the Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. Gurudev also sometimes simply referred to this as Goloka Vrindavan as opposed to Golok. Okay? There is yet another name we will talk about in just a little bit. So, Srila Jiva Goswami has also explained in the Sandarbhas, Goloka Nirupanam Vrindavanadinam Nitya Krishna Dhamatvam Goloka Vrindavanayor Ekatvam Cha. Goloka and Gokul are non-different, but by the influence of Sri Krishna's inconceivable potency, Goloka is situated in the highest territory of the spiritual universe, and the Gokul that is located in Mathura Mandal is situated in the mundane universe of the one-fourth manifestation that has arisen from the material energy. So, if the transcendental abode is of the three-quarter manifestation, how can it be situated in the inferior material world? It cannot be understood by our mundane intelligence. One can only understand by the influence of Krishna's inconceivable potency. Gokula is a transcendental abode. So although it is manifest within this universe of five elements, it is not confined by any kind of limitation that might be imposed by mundane time and space. Try to understand this. It is not confined by any kind of limitation. So what are some of the things that happen in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan manifest on this plane? For Brahmaratri, how long is Brahmaratri? 4,320,000,000 years. That is how long Rasalila went on. How is it possible in this world? It is not possible for an entire night of Brahma to be elapsed within the Gokula, which is within the 84 kos area of Brajamandal. Not possible. Also, all of these places of pastime, if you go and visit them now, they are sometimes very far apart. Sri Radha was going every day from Barsana or from Yavat. She was going to Nanda Bhavan and cooking. How is it possible? It's a long journey in Braj because Dham does not fit any of the rules of this world. And we cannot understand from the perspective of being the conditioned soul. So we can have a cloud. We may be covered by the cloud. It doesn't mean that the thing we're trying to observe is covered by the cloud. We are covered. Our eyes are covered. And that is why we are unable to see the super excellent abode of Gokul in Vrindavan. So only someone who has completely cut their connection with material nature, then they will have extreme good fortune, and they can have darshan of Goloka in Gokul. It is said in Sri Shad Goswami Ashtakam that Goswamis were seeing every tree as Kalpavriksha trees at whose roots are transcendental gems, and they saw the cows there as Surabhi cows. And so they were always overwhelmed in the ecstasy, in the bhav of gopis in Vrindavan Dham. So this was the vision of the Goswamis. They did not see the Vrindavan of what we see today if we go there. And pure sadhus also are seeing Vrindavan in this way. When they are going there and they are doing bhajan, one should only go to do bhajan in Vrindavan having crossed over. We should go to Vrindavan, we should honor Vrindavan, we should take dust of Vrindavan, we should take all of the Leela Stalis, and we should always go in association of pure devotees so that we can understand and appreciate properly. But to do bhajan in Sri Vrindavan Dham is difficult. Easier to do bhajan in Navadvip Dham. So it is not possible to see Goloka or Gokul through any endeavor for Gyan, because Gyanis rely on their own power of vision rather than depending on the mercy of Sri Krishna. So this is a very important distinction. We are not at all saying that, oh, we will just be sentimental and no, there is no need for any knowledge. No, actually, especially in our stage, we must take philosophy like a medicine. We must take this philosophy and try to understand the tattva of Sri Krishna, the tattva of Krishna Nam, the tattva of Shakti, the tattva of Dham, and the tattva of all of these things so that we will be strong. But we cannot by jnana, we cannot by yoga understand, only by kripa. So understanding the tattva is necessary so that our minds will be strong, but we will actually get the spurti, or the realization of the truth of Dham and Nam and Krishna through kripa. That is also the only way that one can have appreciation of Dham. So there is still a bit more. I think we will finish this verse. So the perfection of bhakti is of two types. There is Swarup Siddhi and Vastu Siddhi. We have heard this many times, but it's something that needs to be understood. In the stage of Swarup Siddhi, Golok is seen in Gokul, and in the stage of Vastu Siddhi, Gokul is seen in Golok. What is the meaning? This is a mystery. It is a confidential mystery. So here, it is being explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The attainment of the first rays of the sun of Prem is called Swarup Siddhi. So what is Swarup Siddhi? Swarup Siddhi is also called Rati or Bhav. You know, we say Tatasakti Stato Bhava. Okay, so that Bhava stage, it is also called Rati. This is where we are realizing Swarup Siddhi, where this is called the Prema Ankura, the sprout of Prem. And here Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing it is the first rays of the sun of Prem. So in this Vishuddha Sattva, which is the combination of Hladini Shakti and Sandhini Shakti, which has descended from Goloka Vrindavan, has now entered the heart of the sadhaka, and Ashta Sattvic Vikara will take place. Trembling of the body, hair standing on end, faltering of the voice, tears gushing from the eyes, fainting. All of these different symptoms are present as a result of this Vishuddha Sattva entering the heart of the sadhaka. Now, after Swarup Siddhi, then both the gross and subtle material coverings of the sadhaka are removed, and then one takes birth as an associate of Sri Krishna in the place of his pastimes. This is called Vastu Siddhi. And then one will see Gokul within Golok. So now one has gotten birth in the womb of a gopi in Goloka Vrindavan, and now one is seeing Gokul within Golok. So one is doing bhajan in Gokul and seeing Golok there, and then taking birth in Golok in Vastu Siddhi, finally having achieved the body of an associate of Krishna. Then one is able to fully experience Prem. Now Prem is manifest. Now the Bhavart. Now this is the Bhavart is the giving the further explanation of Gurudev Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So Brahmaji has defined the intrinsic form and nature of the transcendentally sportive Sri Krishna, and now he is describing Gokul, the supramundane seat of Krishna's pastimes. Sri Gokula Mandal, whose Swarup is like a thousand-petaled lotus flower, is the eternal abode of Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. The soil there is made of Chintamani, so Gokula has the form of a lotus made of Chintamani. It is called Mahatpadam, which means the greatest or most excellent place of all. Alternatively, Mahat can mean that Sri Krishna is Mahabhagavan, the ultimate feature of God. His pada, or abode, is the topmost portion of Mahavaikuntha, and this is the sense of the word Mahat. One may object, but the word pada can be interpreted in so many ways. To dispel this doubt, it is said definitively by the use of the adjective Mahat that this pada is called Gokul. So, in the conventional sense, Gokula means the abode of the Gopas or cowherd community. According to the logic of Rudir Yogam Apaharati, when the conventional meaning steals usage from the other legitimate interpretations, the word Gokula is understood to mean the abode of Go and Gop. But other interpretations are not invalid. It is referring to a Nyaya and rule of Sanskrit grammar, so we won't try to get deeply into that. So it has been said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavan Gokuleshwara, Sri Krishna, is the Lord of Gokul. So it is appropriate that such an explanation has also been made in Srimad Bhagavatam, and that was a favorable scripture manifest later. Gokuladam is a worthy residence for Sri Krishna and Brajavasis, such as Nanda and Yashoda, and that is why the word Mahat has been used. So the meaning of Mahatpada can be also explained in terms of its swarup. Gokula can be called Mahatpada because it is manifest from Ananta, an expansion of Sri Baladev, or because it has arisen from an intensified portion of spiritual effulgence. So Gokula Dham can also be called Mahatpada because it is the residence of Sri Balaram, of whom Ananta is a mere part. Gokul has also been called Mahaddham because of Sri Krishna's appearance in the pericarp or center of that thousand-petaled lotus. Bhavarta is like an additional explanation of the bhav. Tatparya is like the import. What is the purport? Bhavarta means to give a further insight into the deep moods that are present here. So that is the conclusion of the now second verse of Shri Brahma Samhita. So this is very deep. It is very, very profound. And, like we've probably taken more time on these first two verses than we would in any other part of Sri Brahma Samhita, except possibly when we come to Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis. Then that also has a lot of explanation associated with it. But Brahma Samhita is actually a very, very profound literature. It is very difficult to penetrate, but our acharyas have given so much insight and so much help. And when we chant, when we engage our tongue in chanting, then we will get some kripa, we will get some insight, and gradually these things will make more and more sense. We just have to hear and then try to follow and chant and remember, and gradually these things will make more sense. All right, so any other questions, or we can end there. And then next week we'll continue with verses 3 and 4. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.